Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Linder. In this short video, what we're going to talk about is a little bit about detoxification. And I want to mention this cytochrome P450 system a little bit. So with liver detox, we typically refer to it as phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. And what ends up happening is, if you look on the lower right, we have toxins that come into the body. And these toxins that the body is exposed to can come from outside of the body, and then we refer to them as exotoxins. That could be drugs, prescriptions, over-the-counter, recreational, could be alcohol, could be agricultural chemicals, pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, glyphosates, Roundup, things that are sprayed on crops that farmers use that are highly toxic, food additives, household chemicals, plugins, things that anything that you end up breathing in is going into circulation, and the body has to filter and clean that out. Pollutants, contaminants, and even microbial. Endotoxins, these are toxins that the body produces itself. There are certain bacteria that create their own endotoxins, but also the byproduct of metabolism, right? The end products of metabolism. So we have these toxins, whether they're endotoxins or exotoxins, and they come into the liver through the hepatic veins. And some of them come in through the hepatic portal vein, right, from the GI tract as well. And the toxins that come in, they're fat soluble, right? They're lipid soluble. Some of these toxins are stored in adipose, in fat cells. And remember that fat cells can rupture, and a little bit at a time, they start to release whatever toxins are in the adipose cells into the liver. So it makes us look at obesity and morbid obesity in a different light, that it's a safety feature and a mechanism to store the toxins, but it's also an indicator that it's a toxic individual who's putting something in, the body doesn't like it, and these fat cells are expanding because it can't get rid of these toxins quickly enough. So little by little, these fat cells can rupture, release those toxic materials at a pace that's slow enough for the liver to handle. That's really important. And in order for the liver to handle all of the toxins, which in the process of breaking them down, create oxidative stress. We just call it reactive oxygen species, ROS. Like if you bite into an apple, you see the white of the apple. Within a few minutes, it oxidizes and turns brown. That's rust. So we need antioxidants to quench or counteract that. So as these fat-soluble toxins come into phase 1, its job is to make it less lipid soluble and make it water soluble. So from phase 1 to phase 2, we're trying to take something fat soluble and convert it to water soluble. Why water soluble? Because it's easier for phase 3 to happen. And phase 3 is the excretion phase, where it can push out the toxins through bowel movements, or it can push it out through urine. It can push it out through the breath as well, and sweat. So these fat-soluble toxins come into phase 1, that cytochrome P450 system, and a lot of different reactions are happening: oxidation, reduction, hydrolysis, hydration. All these things are happening to make it more fat soluble. And as it's doing that, we're creating these reactive oxygen intermediates that are also referred to as reactive oxygen species. Some also refer to these as reactive nitrogen species. Either way, their body has to get rid of these oxidative species. And the only way we can get rid of the reactive oxygen species is if we consume antioxidants against the oxidation. So things like vitamin A and vitamin C, very, very important, glutathione, vitamin E, selenium, copper, zinc, and manganese, CoQ10, thiols. Thiols are super important. They're found in garlic and onions and cruciferous vegetables, bioflavonoids, all antioxidants. So this stuff here is really important in trying to get rid of all these free radicals, okay? All the reactive oxygen species that can do a lot of damage to your DNA and secondary tissue damage. And this is why a detox should never be done without doctor supervision, because we want to make sure that our patients are fully equipped and nourished properly with the support of all of these nutrients for phase 1 to make sure it can do it efficiently. Looks like we have some B vitamins, B2, B3, B6, folic acid, which is B9, B12, glutathione. Glutathione, remember, is made from 3 amino acids. It's made from glycine, glutamine, and cysteine. These 3 come together and make glutathione, which is the most powerful antioxidant for humans. And vitamin C is involved in recycling it, okay? You need the branched chain amino acids, flavonoids, phospholipids. All these nutrients are really important for just phase 1 to happen efficiently. Then we need these to kind of deal with the byproduct and the reactive oxygen species, which are the end product of breaking down some of those lipid soluble and fat soluble toxins. Well, let's say you're equipped beautifully with all of these nutrients for phase 1, all of these nutrients to quench some of the reactive oxygen species. Now we have phase 2, where we have sulfation, we have glutathione conjugation, acetylation, amino acid conjugation, methylation. Remember, for methylation, we need B6, B9, B12 for the methylation process. People that have that MTHFR, that SNP, they're not methylating properly. So we need some of these amino acids. You need glycine. You need cysteine, right? Or N-acetylcysteine, which is NAC. You need methionine. You need glutamine. So now you have glycine, glutamine, and cysteine. Those 3 come together and can help us produce glutathione. All right. So we have all these nutrients, everything's good, we're breaking everything down, and now we took these fat-soluble toxins, made them more water-soluble in phase 2 with using these conjugation pathways, and now we're in phase 3 where now we can excrete these. They are beautiful, they're water-soluble, we can get rid of it through urination and bowel movements. Should be moving bowels every single day. And a good question that we ask our patients is, we don't go, how many times a day do you go to the bathroom or do you move your bowels? I typically ask, when was your last bowel movement? And I've had a patient that counted back, like, what's today? And I would say, well, today is Thursday. 5-6 days ago, right? I've had numerous clinicians shadow me over the years, and many comment on that exact question, because many are taught are your bowel movements normal? And then they go, yes, because for them, if they move it once every 4 days, that's normal for them. If you say, how many times a day do you move your bowels? Now they're thinking, okay, I guess I'm supposed to be moving my bowels every single day. Let me give them an answer that's good to hear. We don't want that. We want the truth. So when was your last bowel movement? It was today. Okay, and before that, the day before. Okay, so how frequently do you move your bowels? I move them every day. Okay, how many times a day? Twice a day. I move my bowels 15 times a day, not normal. Okay, well, normal for that person, not average, but it's not okay. We don't want them constipated. We don't, too much or too little of anything is no good. Urination, same thing. When was the last time you urinated? Oh, about 2 hours ago or this morning. Okay, how often do you urinate? 2 or 3 times a day. Fine. How many times do you urinate? 15 to 18 times a day. It's like every hour, sometimes more. Not okay. But we do want elimination through urination and bowel movements. You remove a lot of toxins. You can get rid of cholesterol, excessive cholesterol that way. But we also want to make sure that the individual is equipped with these proper nutrients for phase 1 and phase 2. The other thing I'd like to mention is that years ago, I had an instructor when I got my master's degree in clinical nutrition, and he worked with Linus Pauling. The instructor that I had worked with Linus Pauling. Linus Pauling was the gentleman who discovered vitamin C. And this gentleman worked in his clinic and would give IV vitamin C through IV to cancer patients that were dealing with chemo. And they discovered that they did very, very well. But they also noticed that they were removing toxins and debris from the body very efficiently if the pH of the urine was somewhere around 7.2, which is slightly alkalinic or slightly basic. They discovered that if the pH was more acidic, 5.5, 6.0, right? Anything between 0 and 6.999, but more on the 5-ish side, which is where most people are at. The body didn't eliminate all of the toxins through urination. What ended up happening was the toxins went back into phase 1, into phase 2. And again, what happens between phase 1 and phase 2 is you get these reactive oxygen species, and you do more damage each time it makes a pass between phase 1 and 2. There's more reactive oxygen species, which can do a lot of secondary tissue damage to the human body, especially if they don't have the proper antioxidant protective mechanisms. So each time it passes, more damage. That's in an acidic pH. If the pH was slightly alkalinic, not saying 9.0, 10.0, not taking it to an extreme, slightly alkalinic, the body was able to remove the most toxins in one passing through phase 1 and phase 2. So lots of great information here. Many of my students have never been made aware of this type of system. They never understood the concept of why antioxidants are important or why these nutrients, some students have never even heard of glutathione or NAC or glycine and glutamine and cysteine. Never, students may know that vitamin C is an antioxidant and, it helps if you're sick to take it. But the reason being is vitamin C helps to recycle glutathione. That's the beauty to it. Okay, so liver and kidneys, they work hand in hand. Want to make sure the urinary pH is around 7.2 for optimal elimination. Make sure you have all your good antioxidant support, and of course minimize the amount of exotoxins. You don't want to put your body under undue stress.